Welcome to the Popcorn Talk Network, for the online broadcast network that features movie discussion, news, and interviews. Press 1. Popcorn Talk. We talk movies.
Congratulations. On behalf of the Popcorn Talk Network, the online broadcast network for movie talk, and the Schmoes Know, you are now a member of the Jedi Alliance. May the Force be with you, always.
Welcome back to Jedi Alliance, a celebration of the greatest saga ever told, and never before has that been more true than this past weekend. I am Ken Napzok, back in the pilot's chair in the cockpit. Thank you for those who tuned in last week, and special thanks to Joey Rockenstein and Joe Rizzarillo for filling in for me at the very last minute. It meant a lot to me that my two old friends from stand-up could fill in the original host. Well, you were originally touring doing comedy, which we'll talk about. But Mark Riley was going to host, and then he had to pull out due to some business stuff going on. So in at the last minute, planned a full show for you all. Top 10 Star Wars deaths. I want to thank them again for filling in for me last week. I was in Las Vegas last week for a pro wrestling convention called Cauliflower Alley Club, and I went from there after 5 days in Las Vegas straight to Anaheim for Star Wars Celebration Anaheim 2015. And with me to break that down, and there was so much stuff that came out of it, are two former guests to Jedi Alliance and contributors as well. Cobster Christian Ruvalcaba, you know him from the very popular podcast HorrorFlix.
Hey now. HorrorFlix.
HorrorFlix.
We established that this weekend. Yes.
And the associate producer of the Schmoes Know Movie Show. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you
Christian.
so much. I'm very excited. It's a great weekend.
Yeah, we spent most of Celebration together, actually, which we're going to be talking about. And, of course, on my left here, a fan-favorite guest here to Jedi Alliance, meaning he's one of my favorites. That is comedian, writer, author, pontificator, Joseph Scrimshaw.
Oh, thank you for adding pontificator. I like that. That prepares people for the reality of like, thanks for coming to my stand-up show. Here are some thoughts on Star Wars. I'm going to pontificate.
Yes. I'm going to put some points out there. You got to spend some time at Celebration as well, too, on Friday,
on
right?
Friday, yeah.
Which is a big day. And it was your first one.
Yes, an explosion of joy. It was insane.
Yes. That's a good way to say it.
Yeah.
Explosion of joy.
Your first one, too, as well.
First one,
I imagine neither of us
no.
for the previous one.
No.
Next year, of course, is in London. I don't know if I'll make that one.
We should try to make that, though.
Yeah,
if we could.
I'm gonna go.
Probably need to get my passport now. Huh?
I do, too, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm with you there.
I have my passport. I just need to rob money.
Yes.
Which I will do in the next year.
Yes.
I'm putting that on record.
Well, I mean,
stay away from me because I will rob you so I can go to London.
I don't think it's a crime if he warns you.
No, not at all. No, it's a nice gesture.
In the law.
Yeah.
It's a little
Look,
thing.
I'm gonna rob you.
Yeah.
It's going to happen. So before me, here are some of my spoils from Celebration. I went on a Mighty Mug search that I didn't get what I actually wanted. I was looking for an Emperor's Royal Guard Mighty Mugs before Funko Pops took over the world. Why are you laughing?
Because I like the cutesy Star Wars stuff. I know like a lot of people like it, but I mean the Royal Guard Mighty Mug. Those two of those things don't go together.
You should have seen him. He was on the floor. It's the first thing he said. Oh, yeah. I need to get it. I need to get it.
Yeah, look at the Funko Pop of Darth Maul. He looks incensed that we as a culture have done that to him.
And what about like
he's
a Funko
deadly
thing?
warrior, and he's just like, I'm so cute, and I'm so angry about it.
And what about an Ewok? Are they smaller? Are they
No,
even
they're
smaller?
not.
The same
the
size?
Wampa Funko Pop is bigger, of course.
Of
but
course.
The Mighty Mugs are collected Mighty Mugs with a fervor not seen by many when they first came out, and they were available at Target mostly. And so they disappeared suddenly, and then the Funko Mini Pops came up, and the Mighty Mugs went away. So my collection was incomplete. I had the Han Solo, but I didn't have the Chewbacca.
Oh, I love the crossbow.
And the Akbar and the Lando. I was very, very glad to get the Lando. I got a Boba Fett Black Series finally. And then I didn't bring it here because I didn't want to break it. I was able to get and you might appreciate it as being a bit of an older fan, like, oh, you young kid, man, you won't remember these. But I was able to get the Burger King promotional Empire Strikes Back glass with Lando on it from the Cloud City one.
Yeah, because I think they're 4 or 5, and the Lando one is hard to come by.
Yeah, very hard to come by. I was able to track that down. And then it was my birthday yesterday, like we said, so I got to celebrate my birthday doing my Game of Thrones podcast with Maude Garrett and Tiffany Smith. But Maude gave me this birthday gift here. It is Wookiee Erotica. It is a parody magazine made by a friend of hers in Australia that is, I can't show some of this on the screen, hey now, but it is a complete parody of, say, a Playboy magazine as done through the Star Wars universe. So it's been... I've had a busy, fun week, man.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad you guys are here. Let's dive in, take in. I just want to break down Star Wars Celebration. Jonathan in the booth has some pictures I sent him of just some of the stuff I experienced there.
Yeah.
You're going to be seeing some of that stuff. I was overwhelmed. How were you guys?
I was the same thing too, and like we've gone to Comic-Con, we've gone to WinterCon, Kamikaze, and those are really cool. But those are like melting pots of different things for different people. Whereas this one, it was just everything. Everyone it was a big unity of just fandom, and it was great.
Yeah, the big thing that I noticed is, having gone to a lot of conventions, and Comic-Con in particular, everyone at Comic-Con needs something. At San Diego Comic-Con, you need to get in line for an exclusive. You need to get in line to get in Hall H. There are a lot of people doing business who really need to like sell their script.
Right.
So the whole thing is, it's fun and exciting, but there is need is the primary emotion. And I kind of expected that. Okay. And then when I walked in, it was just like, no. We were all just here having fun. There's a lot of people here, but it's not too crowded. Nobody's pushing.
Right.
And they're cloud car pilots. I thought I had seen everything.
There were strollers made out of TIE fighters.
Yeah, I knew I'd see like a lot of exotic cosplay. I go to Dragon Con to perform every year. And Dragon Con, one of the main focuses of Dragon Con is cosplay. So you'll see crazy, inventive stuff. You know, like I think I saw like a steampunk Walter White from Breaking Bad. I've kind of felt like, I haven't. I've seen it all.
You've seen it all, right? And then,
but just the focus and love of Star Wars in the costumes was amazing.
it was really, you were surrounded by it, like you said, and Saturday was tremendously packed. I mean, we couldn't move on the floor too much, but even then, the atmosphere was still pretty positive and pretty calm. You'd bump into people and it'd be like, "I'm so sorry, Plo Koon," and you move on. And we've seen there was a picture. Maude Garrett went as Darth Garrett, and I wore my knee numb shirt just for her. Trolled her a little bit. And also, we had the pleasure of meeting a lot of our fans, and it's so great from Schmoes Know or even at Jedi Alliance. Great to meet you guys. I always say face-to-face is so much different than the YouTube comments or even the chat boards and all that kind of stuff. Not that that's not fun to talk to you on that, but to get to meet you all face-to-face, and we had quite a few people.
Yeah.
And I'm saying it from a point of humility, where it's like, I'm just some dude trying to buy an Emperor's Royal Guard Marty mug, and Rob, one of our fans, stopped Maude, and then he stopped me and took a picture with us, and it's so great. And then we'd actually sit and talk Star Wars with them.
Yeah, it was a surreal thing. I mean, to think that someone would come up to me and be like, hey, you're from B Team, Schmoes, and all that. It's like, cool, but let's talk Star Wars. You know, let's just have some fun with that. But it was really nice, especially at that meetup that we did, and so many people came up, and it was just really humbling. It was awesome.
It was, and just. And to be so immersed in Star Wars, it was a positive feel. What were some of the things you experienced on Friday specific? Did you go to any panels or anything?
I went to the tail end of a panel. Some friends of mine have a podcast called Star Wars Minute, where they break a minute, and I've been a guest on that in the past. Nice. The end of their panel, and that we mentioned just is conventions to perform. So it was nice to just kind of wander around and experience it. It was also like, I go to the floors at conventions and look at merch, but like, I'm such a huge action figure person, both the new ones, the old ones, and the ones that started coming out in the 90s.
Right.
It was hard for me to physically move through the space without stopping and taking pictures of everything, touching everything. Just being it. And my friend who was there with me was not super into the toys, so I was just like, but I can show you, but I just want to look at it for a minute. Like, so it was hard for me to physically.
There was a lot of near miss purchases. I almost bought the Lucas in the Stormtrooper costume.
I almost got a tattoo.
Yeah, you almost
got an appointment for it, but because it's Sunday, it was the last day. We were all really tired.
Yeah, for people who weren't there, I've never seen this at a convention. There was a huge area to just be like, hey, you want a Star Wars tattoo? I mean,
get you one.
Yeah.
Missed opportunity.
They should have had a huge banner above it that just says, I have a bad feeling about this. Because, like,
ruin your skin right over here.
Well, yeah, you were going to get a Jar Jar one, and I was like, oh, man, don't do that. Don't do that. No.
Yeah. Right on my butt.
And there wasn't a lot of Jar Jar cosplay, though. There was one guy.
There was that one guy.
And he made a point, man.
Was he trolling?
Oh, no. I saw two. One guy was trolling. That one guy we saw in the lines at the food trucks. But there was one that had Jar Jar on a platter. Like just his head on the platter.
Yeah, that guy's made the rounds before. At least someone like that has. Yeah.
But even still, it's like, oh, I want to take a picture of Jar Jar. It's like there was like no discrimination, even characters. Like it just it was all really, really fun.
There was though we were talking about this. I was just on Far Far Away with Tiffany Smith and Christian Harloff. We talked about it. There was a very clear, maybe not clear is the word I want to use, but there was a very clear. I'll use clear. Lack of the prequel presence officially from Disney. There didn't seem a lot. Am I wrong off base on that?
I thought that the whole live streamed first panel announcement was a sort of subtweet against the prequels. Which is not a bad thing. They want to say what they're going to do different. Right. I felt like so much of it was, don't worry, we're not going to do X, we're not going to do Y, but stated in a positive way.
Yeah, and a positive spin on it there. And JJ's been very clear about practical and all that kind of stuff, and the whole big presentation of Thursday of BB-8. That
incredible.
Look, the trailer, which we're going to talk about here in a bit, and Cobster and I are both clearing our throats because I think we've had a rough, sick weekend. Con flu has hit. But the trailer, 88 million views and all that stuff, and that is the talk of the celebration. But I heard a lot of talk about BB-8. And the practical nature of BB-8.
I think what people liked about BB-8 is the ability to still be surprised by Star Wars. And I think BB-8 is a great example of what I want out of the film, and obviously get more into that. But I want things that remind me of old stuff, but I don't just want fan service. I want it to move forward and have new, exciting things. And BB-8 feels new, and then the fact that they could surprise us with the practical effect was great.
Going back to the first teaser, that's pretty much the second shot you see is BB-8. And I remember my initial reaction was, okay, Boyega, cool. Some cartoon droid. And my faith faltered and for a little bit, but then you learn, oh no, it's a real droid. Then they bring it out, and a friend of ours, David Fickus from Drama 3-4, I was with him last night, and he said, here's the thing, my girlfriend's not a big Star Wars fan, but when she saw that we were watching the live feed, she went, BB-8. Which shows that the character, he already kind of belongs in the world.
It was really funny, too, because when I did see the teaser, I initially thought, too, that, maybe this is like a little CGI, but then when they announced it's an actual thing, and then you see it there on the stage, seeing it on the stage was almost a little awkward. Maybe I don't know if they worked out all the kinks in it, but just the way it kind of moved. Just because in the trailers we've only seen it really moving really, really fast. So I would love to see it in person how it was actually moving. But if it's just kind of rolling around on its little magnets, it's very cool. But it did look kind of awkward.
Well, our mutual friend, our Schmoes friend and a good friend of Matt Keys is a guy named Grant Imahara, formerly of Mythbusters, and he is currently trying to build his own.
Wow. Yeah, well, I think Grant will be able to do it.
Grant will be able to do it.
Great guy and just the right level of obsession mixed with charm to make a BB-8.
So I want to see what he comes up with. So
him do his actual main thing that he's supposed to do, and then also deal hopefully somebody who knows that he made that choice.
Great time to be a Star Wars fan. But that is for me. Just being surrounded by that love of something that has affected so many lives was great.
And usually by the time of all these cons that we go to, by the last day we're so burnt out we don't even want to go to the last day, but I didn't want it to end. I watched A New Hope last night just because I didn't want Star Wars to go away from me. I wanted this to stay around, so it was a great experience.
I saw a sort of typical snotty article, I think it was on the Telegraph, a British newspaper, saying, Star Wars fans, why are you crying? It's just a movie. And I think, the celebration and that experience is such a great reminder of that. It's not just a movie. And I wrote an article about it where I sort of made an analogy of the whole Star Wars experience is like nachos. And the movies are like chips. They're good, but they're a delivery system for all of the other things, for the memories, for the action figures, for the friends.
And the jalapenos.
For the jalapenos, for the space guacamole. And
space guacamole. Hashtag that.
Space guacamole. And I think that Star Wars Celebration, even if you just watch it on the live stream, you get that sense of this is about much more than this movie's going to be so cool.
But this movie's going to be so cool.
It really is.
Thursday, the highlight of Celebration.
I don't know. I don't care for that. I just wanted to see the panel itself. And just being around all these Star Wars fans and being able to listen to the people that are in charge of it now. Essentially, the people on the panel were all fans, just as how we are. And hearing them speak about it, it just felt so authentic. It didn't feel, like they were holding anything back. It felt really, really incredible.
And I saw the pictures and the tweets and the periscopes and everything coming out for the prep there. The Schmoes were there. Scott Mance, Tiffany Smith. Everyone's dancing and screaming. And from my understanding, and I didn't get to watch it live on the live feed. I was driving back from Las Vegas. But they did the whole panel. BB-8 comes out. The cast comes out. By the way, Boyega.
He's having so much fun.
I want to hang with that kid.
Yeah.
And we probably did on Sunday because he walked around Celebration in a Clone Trooper mask and did that thing. And he went shopping for toys and he did a little video where he kind of shopping.
That's so good.
Nice.
But he seems like he's just having a blast to be part of this Star Wars thing.
Because
I want to hang with that kid.
He told a story of when he was on set and he had an action figure and he wanted Harrison Ford to sign it. And then he went up to him. He's like, "Hey, could you sign this?" And then Harrison Ford was like, "Oh, this is kind of weird, but okay, I'll do it anyways." He just seems like he's having the greatest time of all. Wow.
So it was about to end, and then they played a little game with the crowd, and they said, "Oh, all right, we'll show you the trailer."
Yeah, and I didn't know what to expect. I knew I was going to see at least something good, but I didn't think I was going to see something this great.
But we don't know anything.
And it's not like I feel like so many trailers, Avengers included, I've tried to avoid them because I don't want to, I want the trailer to be Joss Whedon walks out and turns to the camera and says, "I've made another Avengers movie."
Yeah,
and I will go. But they give away so much.
Yeah.
And I know I can't avoid it with Star Wars because I want to be able to have these conversations on places like this. So I'm so thankful that they're not spilling at all.
Yeah.
Right. And I've said a lot on the show here before. I don't like to over-speculate. I don't like to go into detail what will be in Episode 7. We do it from time to time. But once I see something, once it's out there officially and hasn't been leaked and hasn't been stolen from some laptop, once it's official, then it's game on for me. Now I can start celebrating. Now I can start digging in and finding out. And there's so much in this teaser trailer. Where were you when you saw it?
I was sitting home alone, pantsless, on my couch with my laptop.
Naturally. Nice.
And I enjoyed the panel so much. A quick thing I wanted to say about the panel is I haven't seen Kathleen Kennedy speak a lot.
Yeah.
And I loved her attitude. It seemed to me like Princess Leia is in charge of Star Wars.
Yeah.
Kathleen Kennedy reminded me of Princess Leia. Like, I have a sense of humor. I seem like relaxed and flexible, but I am in control and I am making the decisions.
Yes.
And she made it very clear, like, I decided to hire J.J. Abrams, so he's doing this movie.
Yeah.
But he is the co-pilot, and I am flying this whole ship. And she had this great attitude and such a great history with so many franchises we love.
Yeah, and she's a fan, too.
She's a fan, too.
And that was the whole tone of the panel, too, is how much they really wanted this. This is for the fans. It's not just trying to make a really great movie. That they wanted us to feel how we felt with the original trilogy.
Yeah. Right.
And it was also the thing we were just talking about, too, about not like crapping on the prequels or anything like that, but, they didn't have to mention it.
Yeah.
Right.
So.
It was a classy way to go about it.
Yeah.
As I said, I was in a car. I'd left Las Vegas on the passenger seat of a car, and I saw it pop up on my phone, and I said I had to watch it now, and I cried all the way to Prim.
Yes.
And for me, it is not a light thing to say that I cried. I don't do that often. Not that I think it's bad that people do. I don't cry often at any properties. I've cried at movies. I've been moved by movies.
Yeah.
The first teaser trailer I didn't. I just was excited.
Yeah.
This one I had an emotional reaction to it, and it was triggered by the Han and Chewie at the end of the trailer.
Absolutely.
But for me, it went beyond that, and this is where I want to see where you guys come in on this, because I think we all had a similar emotional reaction. For me, it was feeling that, like Han says, we're home. I actually felt now we're going to be okay.
Yeah, that was almost JJ's way of saying, like, don't worry, we've got it. We've got this taken care of. Yeah.
And I feel like if the Han and Chewie and the Chewie were home line was just at the end of the first teaser, it wouldn't have been as powerful.
I agree.
Because that is the knockout punch after a lot of body shots in the trailer. And that's the hit to the jaw.
It's so simple, too. It wasn't a huge, for the way the first one ended, it was great seeing the Falcon go through there, but now it was just one simple shot of them two.
Yeah.
I think that's all we really needed.
And the shot was crafted perfectly to the classic promotional shot of Han and Chewie.
Yeah.
The bowcaster of Chewie's even held up.
It's subtle, but Han's blaster is up too.
Yes.
But I made a joke on Twitter that if you watch the trailer on your phone will just automatically call your dad. Because it wasn't just the Han Solo, it was that narration from Luke. So I feel like
that's the meat of the trailer.
This thing was driving toward there is a past that we all know about that has weight and joy and fear in it.
Yeah.
And now you are going to create something new. That's almost literally what he's saying.
And you have that power too. And Mark Hamill confirmed at Celebration that he recorded that voiceover just last week.
Yeah, that is clearly new. I saw some people saying well, that's pulled from eternity. No, it's not.
I got into some Twitter debates with some people because I came right out of the way and said, no, that is new.
Yeah.
His voice is different, and it very clearly they chose, even if it was just a reread of the old dialogue, they chose to say, my father has it. And of how that factors in. Now, I don't want Vader back. I want him to be some sort of memory, but that was a clear choice by them. And I agree. That is the meat of the trailer, is the Luke.
Yeah.
And everything about Luke in this.
But I think the whole thing is geared toward that, both looking forward and looking back at the same time, which I think is incredibly powerful. I've said this about Star Wars, I think, on this podcast before. It's best when it is the most alien thing you've ever seen, and yet it somehow makes some deep sense to us.
Right.
And I felt like that trailer really successfully tied into that.
It's also very, even with the first one and this one now, it's also kind of scary. The Empire seems, or well, I guess they're going to be called the First Order now. They seem so much more imposing than they actually. Like, I'm hoping stormtroopers can actually shoot people now. That's how it feels like it's going to be.
Well, you know, we're jumping around here, and that's fine. But one of my favorite parts of the trailer is, and it's maybe stormtrooper on stormtrooper violence, but when that TIE fighter is in that hangar, and that TIE fighter is blasting away, and you see the body fly up. We've had that a little bit before. We've certainly had deaths before in Star Wars. Every chapter did, but that one was a little more realistic than we've seen before, to me. A body flailing dead in the air.
That looked like a real TIE fighter floating around in there. I mean, it could have been. It could have been, but...
I think the real film might have a Wilhelm scream right there.
That's Ellis made that same... Yeah, a lot of people have been saying that. That's really funny.
It looks like a Wilhelm scream moment.
So let's go from the beginning, too. It starts with this epic shot of a speeder.
Yes.
What we now know, the planet is Jaku. That's one thing they announced, is Jaku. It's not Tatooine. Not that Tatooine won't appear in this film.
Yeah.
When you first heard that announcement of this planet's name, did you have any reaction to it?
That is probably so far my happiest geek moment.
Okay.
Because that was the thing that I was the most cranky as a nerd about, I don't want it to be Tatooine again. And I really didn't like the speculation that the stormtrooper John Boyega was looking for Luke hiding on Tatooine. That made me like really nerd rage mad, because I didn't see why Luke would ever go back to Tatooine. That's not the direction I wanted them to take the character. So when I heard it was a new planet, I was thrilled.
Right.
Yeah. I wouldn't have been upset if it was Tatooine. It would make sense if it was Tatooine, but the fact that we are going to go to a new desert planet is really interesting. And I think just the name itself sounds very Star Warsy.
It did. I had a reaction, though, a slightly negative reaction when this announced, only because I can get where you're coming from. I wanted the familiarity of Tatooine, but I was like, all right, it's time to explore. Yeah, you're right. There's a big universe. Why do we have to go to the same far
and why
outer
would
rim planet?
Luke go back there? Why would any of our characters go back there?
Right.
You know?
Unless he's picking up something he left on the way through them. But I heard this name Jaku, and it does sound very Star Warsy, but I thought, could be forcing something here where we're like, it's a new planet, because they did that sometimes on Clone Wars or even in Rebels, Lothal, and there's a fine line between it adding to it and then just kind of creating something stupid sounding universally. So I'm going to admit, I had a little bit of a negative reaction. It wasn't until the Battlefront panel that we were at where they sold the game very well, even though they didn't show gameplay stuff. That you're going to be able to find out that that's Planet Jaku has a very important place in the new canon, because after the Battle of Endor, the next big battle happens on the planet of Jaku, and that is why that Star Destroyer is crashed there. That is why that X-Wing is crashed there. You're going to have to buy the game to find out why and get the downloadable content available December 1st.
DLCs.
But I like that, because now the planet has a history and it's a new thing to learn.
Right.
And I don't think you have to buy the game either. I'm sure there could be as simple as mentioning it, like, they kind of how they did with the Clone Wars and in A New Hope. They can just mention something, but it's that little bit of fan service. If you do play the game, then you get to see exactly how this all went down.
Right.
But just hearing about the Battle of Jaku and not knowing what that is, that has that romance of, we ran into some bounty hunters on Ord Mantell and we don't know what that planet is. All that kind of stuff.
And that's where I started to buy in. Again, I admit to being a little bit but I was probably just stupid. I was probably because I was driving in a car and wanted to get home, and was angry that I missed it all and you guys were there. But that first shot is epic too.
That is amazing. Yeah, I think it's that same thing of it is a beautiful shot. It's just well constructed, but it also has that same the past has resonance, but it's dead.
Yes,
there's the past is dead. It's still here, but it's dead. Some horrible things happened, and what's going to happen next, and all of that is communicated visually.
No dialogue needed, just that music playing, the binary sunset, and it's so Star Warsy, and it's imposing that crashed, and it makes sense because Jedi ended and we're all dancing and yub-nubbing with Ewoks, and there's still business to attend to, and there's still an empire at large, and this shows that stuff happened. We're going to learn about it in Aftermath, and Shattered Empire, the comic series starting soon.
Cool.
The new Lando comic starts in July, by the way. We'll see how that
Colt
goes.
45's around.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So joke lives on.
I love that idea too of kind of restarting a new army, because that's what happened with the Republic. Republic didn't work so well, so they created the Empire. Empire didn't work so well, so someone came in and said, "No, we're going to do First Order."
Yeah.
And so that's where I think it's just kind of scary. Maybe now this Empire is actually going to be a lot more imposing than they were before ever.
Yeah, it seems to be a little danger to it too. There's maybe some vengeance fueling this First Order. Now we got the Resistance.
Now, can we talk a little bit about where people came up with First Order? Because I love this too. Because it's not in any of the trailers, and I could have this wrong or different from other people, so please feel free to tell me. But wasn't there an exhibit room for Episode 7
Correct.
that had some props labeled that just quietly said First Order?
Yes.
In there, and not Rebellion, but Resistance.
Yeah.
So I love that. Yeah. Also, that it harkens back to the way Star Wars information used to come out.
Yes.
Like, there are a lot of things that aren't said in the movies.
Yeah,
that you're
really
just like,
cool.
oh, hey, it's on a toy. It must be the Tauntaun, or like, even in the 90s when they started re-releasing toys.
Yeah.
One of the first Darth Vader action figures says he was scarred in a battle with Obi-Wan Kenobi on a volcano planet.
Yeah.
And that's the first time you ever heard of that. And
yeah.
It adds to the mystery and the mystique.
Yeah,
to have these
really
little
cool.
bits of information come from different places, and then we as fans gather them up and say, yes, this is what it is.
Apparently the Millennium Falcon is taking off in the background here.
That Star Destroyer is just crashing.
Well, I was at the panel for the canon, which you were as well, too.
Yeah.
We did a canon. Leland Shee, Pablo Hidalgo was there, the people from Marvel, Del Rey, all the Shelley Shapiro there, the head of Del Rey, in charge of the Star Wars stuff. And they talked about, the moderator talked about, because there's so much stuff coming out. Mm-hmm. And someone asked, does this all lead up to, we know it's called The Journey to Force Awakens, but is there things we have to see, everything? He said, there's clues for Force Awakens in just about everything we put out. We're just not going to tell you. You just have to see if you can find it.
I love that. I love that.
And
Just
that,
putting all the pieces together to try to figure it out.
so in this case, you literally had to go around the convention to find and wait the 2-hour lines, and we did not. We did not wait.
We just got to see the pictures. The First Order. What is it like? Flamethrower trooper and
the flamethrower troopers, whatever the official name is, I'm not sure of, but they seem to be very prominent because they highlighted them a lot, and they're in that trailer too.
Well, maybe it's the idea of stormtroopers traditionally miss. And it's really hard to miss with fire. So let's get them all fire.
Yes. That's very true.
So the trailer then moves into this Luke Skywalker dialogue that we talk about here. And there's the speculation. First, you see the burnt mask of Darth Vader.
Yeah, which is amazing.
So there's going to be Ewoks. We're going to see Ewoks.
Right. That would be amazing if a little Ewok paw crawled out of the eye.
If we had our first ever Sith Ewok.
Oh, my goodness. With two lightsabers, little
I'd
lightsabers.
be down with that, yeah.
Darth Treetop just walking
Darth
around
Chirp.
with Darth Chirp. So you have that. Now, this does give some credence, maybe a lot of credence to some of the leaked concept arts and everything. We actually have seen this before. I saw it by accident. I didn't want to, but we've seen the burnt Darth Vader head.
I had not.
Not. But I'd kind of forgot about it, to be honest, until I saw it and went, oh yeah. But it's on display.
Yeah.
What do you think that means to you?
I think
guys?
just if we're going around the rumors or whatever, if this Kylo Ren person is like hunting down Sith artifacts or whatever, then this is already in his possession. Yeah. And I like that idea. That shot is so beautiful.
Yeah.
And we don't need to see him like go and finding it or anything. It's just kind of there.
Yeah.
It's
I feel like the idea of the film is, or I would like it to be, that Kylo Ren or the First Order are digging up things that our heroes have already processed and dealt with and said, that's bad and we want to leave it.
Bury it
where it fell, like the Star Destroyer, and they're digging it up.
Kylo Ren seems to be a Sith scavenger, potentially. And Rey, the character of Rey, Daisy Ridley's character, there was another clue.
Oh, yeah.
On a display. They had her speeder bike, which looks like a fudgesicle speeder bike. They had a big photo shoot opportunity. You had to wait in line and you could get a picture. On the bottom of it, it said the name Kira.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And I didn't know if that was a fan build, so they named it something different.
Right.
Yeah.
Good question, but a lot of people are now speculating it could be Kylo Ren and Cara Rey, and that it could very well be these twins that we've all wanted or heard about from the expanded
I didn't
universe.
even think about that because seeing this new trailer, the whole thought of Luke or even Han, them having kids, like that didn't even process. I didn't even think they were going to do that anymore. But wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, I kind of feel like they have to because the story is so much about legacy, and the trailer seemed to confirm that.
And you have that power too. And Daisy Ridley said at the panel that her character is a scavenger. So there seems to be this scavenger, even on good and the dark, light and the dark. There seems to be the scavenger thing going on.
Yeah, and this isn't probably incorrect and terribly geeky, but when I was looking at her speeder, it almost looked like the front of it was a repurposed land speeder.
Yeah, like flipped it on the side.
Yeah,
she's got that scavenger side to it. There's also the thought now, and we are now into open, rampant speculation, people. Now we are fantasy booking this. That the staff she has.
Oh yes,
that's very key. She's running with it now. The character design is on display at this convention center. The Force Awakens props. It is very reminiscent. If you look up the Darth Plagueis action figure, it's very reminiscent to the one he is holding.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know much about. I mean, I've read Darth Plagueis, but I don't know about much of his staff. Actually, I lied. I've read half of Darth Plagueis, but I don't know. Does it do anything?
It doesn't strike out to me from reading the book as I have that. It doesn't strike out. Nothing jumps out at me, but it's that action figure. And I have the figure at home in my room, and you look at it, and I did the comparison. Oh yeah,
very identical.
Oh yeah,
yeah. So that's so cool. I don't know. I would like the presence of Darth Plagueis to be in it if this is true, but I don't even know if I'd want to like see him or if that makes sense. Like maybe the presence of him, but not him physically being there.
Let's see, there's clearly someone in that great shot of the First Order troops turning, and they're on that's kind of snowy planet, or maybe a new planet, and you see a little dark character in the background. Yeah. What do you think about that? Come on, boys. Speculate away. You thinking Plagueis?
I don't think Plagueis. I think
someone else?
Yeah, like maybe like Gwendolyn Christie, figure of her, or maybe because we all think it's confirmed that she's the Chrome Trooper, right?
I do believe I'm trying. Some sites ran with the story, but that Gwendolyn Christie is that what is being called the Chrome Trooper.
Yeah,
might be another name that they're coming up with, that they have come up with, but I think it's Captain Phasma or something like that.
Yeah, I don't want to be Chrome Trooper because that sounds like something Apple came up with.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's got to be someone. I don't want it to be led by someone who is Sith because they've already went down that road.
Yes.
I would like it if it's like a Tarkin-like character.
There has to be a practical leader in the battlefield.
Yeah, I would be happy if the First Order was not necessarily obsessed with the Force. If they had been like, we've had enough of this. We keep rising and falling based on what 2 or 3 dudes feel about the light or dark side. So why don't we just do our thing with the government and they can go off in small planets and cut each other apart with laser swords?
The rest
of the galaxy
let them do that themselves.
So it'd be great to me if the whole Jedi Sith thing was a little bit more of a personal grudge that is spilling out in an unwanted ways on the rest of the galaxy.
Because it also seems like Kylo Ren is just doing these little deeds for them, and we see shots later on, not to jump ahead, but maybe it's like whoever is in charge is having that kind of tendency to like maybe we will have a Sith-like person kind of helping us out, or maybe he's just doing this thing on his own and he runs into the First Order.
Yeah. So Tyler Johnson, you said the snowy planet is Sullust. Sullust is actually a more volcanic planet, and that is in Battlefront. Not to say that Sullust couldn't also have snow. It's a big planet, but that is different. If you've seen the Battlefront trailer, when Boba Fett comes out, that is the planet Sullust, where my good friend Neenum is from. I want to jump back a little bit to the Luke thing, the dialogue. A lot of speculation out, too. He says, I have that power, too, or whatever the line is, and he's reaching out, or a hand, a robotic hand is reaching out to kind of comfort R2.
Yeah.
Do you feel it's Luke now, Luke in the past, or someone completely different?
I would like to think it's Luke now. I really don't want to see flashbacks. I would just love for it to keep going. And it kind of would make sense because, I thought about this, and Luke probably doesn't have a lightsaber. He probably went away from the Force after Return of the Jedi because what's the point? There was really no... He only kind of got into it to kind of stop this whole Empire and his father. So maybe that's him and R2 reuniting, or maybe R2 went off with Luke wherever Luke was going. So that's what I'm saying.
The thing in that shot, there are a couple things that I like in that shot. One, just the sort of the sparks of wherever they are looks a lot like Mustafar.
Yeah,
that's
and it would be cool to me if for some reason Luke needed to go to Mustafar because something was left behind there.
In the Mustafar system.
Yes, in the Mustafar system. And as people who watch the show, no, I don't hate the prequels as much as the rest of the galaxy. So I would love to see some direct connections back to it. And I'd love to see on screen Luke and Leia dealing with or acknowledging their family's past.
Yeah.
So if there's something where he really does, if somebody's collecting Sith artifacts and there's something on Mustafar that's been left behind,
could be.
It's clearly a Palpatine hangout that Luke has to go there and doesn't really want to. But then I like that he has the sort of the exposed hand because that's obviously super powerful analogy of losing yourself from Return of the Jedi. But then his under his shirt is white and his Jedi robe is dark. So it seems to me, if it's Luke, it's fairly masterful at making us guess because we have all of these various symbols from Star Wars past of dark cloak, white shirt, exposed robot hands, and you toss those all together and what does it mean?
What does it mean? And the next shot is a what does it mean? They talk about his sister having that power, and then you have what looks like some sort of creature maybe if you freeze frame it, and I've done the Zapruder film freeze frames here.
You see the face.
It looks like an alien creature handing a lightsaber over.
And I think that's Luke's lightsaber. I think it is.
Yes. His first lightsaber, that's right.
Yeah, hand it over to probably not Princess Leia. I don't think that's Princess Leia. It could be Daisy Ridley's character.
I think it could be.
It could all not. Let's not forget Carrie Fisher's daughter, Billie Lourd, cast in the movie, potentially for a Leia flashback, we think or believe. So maybe it could be something with that, but definitely something, again, going to the scavenger side and the relics of the past. This is Luke's old lightsaber from Bespin, maybe where it was last seen or found.
That's how I'm interested. Like, wouldn't it have gone through atmosphere? Wouldn't it have just evaporate? Like, how is it?
Maybe.
I think
it
it's
floated
still.
in space?
I mean, this has been acknowledged in expanded universe, but I think it would have stayed in Cloud City because Luke
maybe someone just
effort to actually get out of there. It's not like it's just a straight drop into the sky.
Maybe we do a flashback to Lobot just cleaning the bottom, and he picks up this.
What is this?
I would be so happy with that because then the shelves will once again be filled with a bunch of sad Lobots
updated Lobot
that nobody wants. Except there was some Lobot cosplay at Celebration.
I did see that.
This is truly a place of
There's
awe.
a great Lobot in
There's a
there.
great Lobot and Wookiee erotica too. I can't show it to you now.
She-bot.
But you had brought up, I'm really curious to see how they're going to handle whether or not Luke started Jedi Academy, whether or not Leia wanted to be trained, if that was a strain on their relationship, all those things that are so thoroughly covered in the expanded universe. But they have to acknowledge, yes, I decided to do this. No, I didn't.
Yeah. And for some reason, as a fan, it makes sense to me that Leia would be like, I'm good. I'm going into politics.
Yeah.
I don't know why I've always thought that. I never saw her as a Jedi. Not that she couldn't.
Because even I started reading before the whole Legends things was announced. I started reading the Timothy Zahn books, and even she kind of messed with some of the Force stuff a little bit here and there, but it was never like flips or back. It was kind of like mind things, if anything. Maybe she can use some of that in her politics to kind of manipulate people into
much like politics in real life.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I like just the. Hey, the Force is good enough for me. I have a connection to you, Luke. I can basically, phone a friend for help. I can sense when you're in danger. I can kind of sense things. And beyond that, I don't have the patience. Because we've seen this again and again with the Masters always going you don't understand what it is to be a Jedi. You must learn patience. So it'd be great for Leia to just say, no, I don't.
I'm good.
No, screw patience.
Yeah,
I don't want to learn it.
Hand it off. Then some of the other stuff in the trailer here, so we can move on to, I don't want to move on, but we got to move on. We see a lot of Kylo Ren this time. We get to see his mask. We get to see the saber, the broadsword lightsaber again.
In action.
In action.
Shot of
we
him
saw a lot of them at the celebration.
Which is surprising. Even though we barely got a glimpse of him, of that, we didn't even see his mask, and there were people there with Kylo Ren uniforms and everything. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Even the new stormtroopers, people were dressed up as them too. It's so quick.
Yeah, I think Kylo Ren's already in that cult favorite category.
Yeah.
It's already a character that people are, it just looks cool. That mask looks cool.
I think this trailer ruined some people's weekends because they went back to their hotel room and revised their costumes to match the trailer.
So we had that in there. Again, a lot of stuff. Boyega, every time you see him, he seems to be kind of running and huffing and puffing.
Yeah, he's having a rough episode 7 trailer.
I love that idea, though. You had brought up, you're hoping that he's not going to a certain planet looking for something. It looks like he was just thrown in the mix of things, and he's having a change of heart, really.
Yeah.
And
I keep getting that sense too, that this character Finn has something going on, that he's not happy to be where he is, and that he's going to change by the end. And it seems even the shot of what we believe is Rey reaching her hand out to pull him up is kind of symbolism to me.
Yeah, I like the idea of meeting some characters who get swept up in this again, and they seem to really. Rey seemed to say that in the panel. Because in the prequels it was all sort of like these are people mostly doing their jobs that they have to do.
Yes,
as opposed to people
signing
going,
paperwork and and trade embargoes,
doing Jedi things,
playing in sand,
complaining. But we haven't seen that sort of spirit of getting swept up into this epic adventure when you just kind of want to live your quiet life.
And I watched the Hello Greedo breakdown of this trailer this morning, and I love his work, and he Boyega always seems to be on the run, but it also kind of shows there's a lot of forward-moving action in this one. We're not going to have a lot of sit-down and Senate panels here. This is going to be forward.
I think that might be the first Episode 7 meme, that joke that we will beat to death of the panting of Boyega.
He's always got his hand against the wall. A lot of that stuff. Again, we talked about the TIE fighter scene in the hangar. I just love that there's kind of a realistic brutality there. I think that was in there too. And what else am I missing here? I'm drawing the blank.
There's a BB-8 peeking around clearly from inside the Falcon.
I love that shot. I really love that, because it's like the same thing with Jaku. I don't know, just the way it fades in and the way it's turning like that, it feels very Star Wars as well, like very spirit of the first movie.
It captures R2, the essence of R2.
It's right after the really nasty shot of I think it's after, I could be wrong, but after the nasty shot of Kylo Ren reaching out with his hand in that sort of forcey, choky way. Then you cut back to the cute, helpless droid just peeking like, oh man, it makes you just feel like part of the universe is really in danger.
There's a lot of danger going on there, and then we from that stuff you kind of I love the new, even the TIE fighter pilots. I'm okay with all these new designs. There's a part of me that would think I wouldn't. That some of the stuff with Rebels, like I didn't like the new helmets, kind of the speeder bike guys had and stuff, and that's me being nitpicky and such a nerd rage Star Wars fan at times,
Flip this table.
But I like that shot. It's a classic shot. Again, what does JJ do? He is a fan, and I don't think it's fan appeasement. I think this is someone who knows the universe and knows to create familiar things for us. That shot of the new TIE fighter pilot is the same angle that we saw in the first original movie.
Same thing with Oscar Isaac too in the X-wing.
Yes,
and I'm hoping we get that great shot of just outside the Millennium Falcon with everyone sitting down looking outside. I'm sure we're gonna get one of those.
Yeah, so I love that shot in the Falcon, and the Poe Dameron stuff with that character. We know now he's going to be sent on some mission. That's what he's on. He's on some mission, and I love his joy is my joy when he's flying that X-wing. That's what I imagine I'd be doing. Wow! Stay on target.
Definitely, and
screaming in an X-wing.
And it also goes back to that thing of everyone kind of coming in together, like very much in the spirit of the first movie, where everyone was just on their mission, and it's almost like a big road trip where they go, they meet one person, they meet another person, then they all go together. So hopefully that's how this goes as well.
Yeah, and I like seeing a little bit more of the style of the movie was clear from this trailer. And I like seeing that J.J. Abrams is having the good sense to sort of not put too much auteur spin on it.
Yes.
And just make a Star Wars movie. Like, is this angle a good Star Wars angle? Not like, does this angle speak to me as a director?
Right.
Which normally I'm all about supporting, like, auteurs and just follow. But I think when you're making a franchise, there gets to be a house style.
There has to be.
And it's really cool that he is doing the house style.
The house style, and house style indeed. The trailer ends with a little beat of black, and then you hear a familiar voice, Chewie, we're home.
The first time I couldn't even hear Chewie yell because everyone was just going nuts in the crowd. And so hearing that, I think it was Chewie's yell what made me really tear up. There's something about it. It's back. They're back.
It's at home. It's a great shot. And again, it's so familiar, but it's new. And I was worried more than anything coming out of the first teaser trailer. I was happy that we didn't see the old characters because it's the biggest gamble of this thing. We're pretty confident Harrison can do it. Hamill's got skills as a voice actor, but can he come back and do Luke? And we all know Carrie Fisher's struggles. They're out there. So could she come back? Peter Mayhew couldn't walk a year ago.
Oh, poor guy. He had he needed help from Hamill and from that lightsaber cane.
Yeah, he's still going. But in one shot, I'm not saying all those questions were erased, but in one shot, it makes you feel good that we just might be okay with these old characters.
Yeah,
right.
And I think it's great to lead with Han, because Han, while the most experienced actor, he's the hardest character to see old, because we're used to him being like young and virile and brash.
He's still
And I honestly, this is my most bizarre, out there, this opinionated Star Wars thing. I think this film is going to do a lot for us with ageism, just in our culture, with discussing it, with not being okay with seeing virile characters like Han Solo be old,
right?
And just accept that. Look, he's still active. He's still doing things. He's still cool.
72 is a new 50.
We just don't want to look at old people because we're like, I don't want to be reminded that it's going to happen to me.
We don't need to see him be running around or doing anything like that. Just the way he was just so perfect.
Yeah, people's go-to joke is just make fun of him for being old, and I think that this movie is going to be like, no, old is cool too.
He's still going.
Yeah.
I hope old is still cool. I celebrated my birthday yesterday. So that is the trailer, and all the time we have to discuss that. I could go on and on and on, but what I love about it is the trailer, it proposed more questions and it provided answers, and that's what I need out of it. And I'd be fine if that's the only thing we saw the rest of the way till December. I know that's not the case, but I'd be fine.
I still think we're going to get a different trailer for Age of Ultron.
You think so?
I kind of think so, because these are 2 teasers. And then, the idea of them actually releasing an official trailer with a little bit more story, which will still be held back because JJ is so good at that. I think it still will be really held back. Because even at the panel, they were really, pressing on that. That they don't want to spoil everything, that they're just going to kind of tiny, little things in there.
JJ's mystery box. He loves that stuff there. Yeah. So one of the other things at the convention that we had the pleasure of seeing was a little bit of surprise on Sunday. It was conversations with Gareth Edwards and Josh Trank. Josh Trank, who's going to be directing the second film, which we no longer call standalones or spin-offs. They're now referred to as anthology films. He wasn't there. He was sick, and he tweeted he was sick and that he couldn't make it, though there's now rampant speculation, as it would be because this is the internet age, that he is no longer to be directing the second Star Wars anthology film based on problems on Fantastic Four.
That's really sad. Because I dug a lot Chronicle, and then I think this new Fantastic Four looks great.
The trailer looks pretty good.
Aside from all the stuff from behind the scenes, but if he was there, what would he have talked about? Because this panel went almost perfectly.
Yeah, and that was some of the thought I had too. But again, that's open speculation. I have no inside sources on that. It's just something we've heard on the wire there that's happened. But Gareth Edwards was there. Kathleen Kennedy, Kiri Hart, who's in charge of the story group for Lucasfilm, she was there. Told great stories of going to meet Gareth Edwards. Gareth Edwards told a great story of not telling his mother until it was official, and he actually showed a screenshot of the FaceTime when he told his mother. Pablo Hidalgo was the moderator of the panel, and they wanted to prove Gareth how much are you a Star Wars fan?
He is clearly a Star Wars fan.
He showed his 30th birthday.
And he went to Tunisia?
Tunisia.
Yeah. Took pictures near the igloo with the sunset. It was a great image.
And the crowd gave him a rounding standing ovation. And then, he was about to wrap it up, and they were like, now you've got footage, right? And he's like, well, we haven't started shooting. So Pablo was teasing him like, you came to this panel with nothing to show us, right?
They kept that going a little too long.
A little bit.
Sped it up a little bit.
They built the anticipation, and all of a sudden, boom. A short 30-second teaser trailer for Rogue One, the first Star Wars anthology film. It has been leaked. Take it down. Don't watch the leaked stuff. Don't support that. It will be released officially, I'm sure, but I can describe it. We can reenact it, I guess. It is a great shot of a forest, kind of jungle, kind of tropical environment, a river with some birds flapping by, and then Obi-Wan's New Hope monologue comes up. For over 1,000 generations, the Jedi Knights were the guardians of the galaxy before the dark times, before the Empire. And as that happens, a TIE fighter flies over you, and you hear it. You can almost hear Maud's voice in the background. And it goes up into the horizon, and above the planet is a crescent half moon of the Death Star.
Yes.
Just sitting there. And that's awe-inspiring enough. And Cobster and I were sitting next to each other. We'd wait for an hour. This whole line debacle. We got sent to the wrong line. Then we got in there.
It's terrible.
And we're sitting there, and that was exciting enough. But for me, what made this chilling. It was chilling. Was the voices. There's radio transmissions going in the background, and you hear one guy clearly say, "I'm on fire. I'm on fire." It cuts out, and it builds to this crescendo, and there's more screaming. There's broken radio transmissions. Think of on Hoth of Imperial troops have entered the base. Imperial troops.
Yeah.
That's going. That stuff's going, and it's building almost to your ears couldn't take it. It was so loud, and then it goes to silence.
Cuts to silence. I just got chills right now. That was great.
Well, you described it best. It was very reminiscent of 1,000 voices crying out at once and then silenced immediately.
Very much so like
Nice.
that. Yeah.
Rogue One, as Gareth Edwards has described, is a war picture.
I love that.
Two of the
That is so
people
cool.
working on it, one has Zero Dark 30 experience, one worked on Black Hawk Down and Saving Private Ryan. Gareth Edwards himself said, it's Star Wars.
Yeah.
This is a war picture. And we know that Felicity Jones is a rebel soldier.
Yep.
She's not some secret agent. We know all that stuff could happen, but it's
Yes.
a band of resistance fighters, and Felicity Jones is the lead rebel soldier.
Cool. Yeah.
She gonna fight.
She gonna do some fighting.
She gonna fight. And they confirmed that it is. There's episode. He played this game with Carrie Hart. How much can I say? Well, there's episode 3. There's episode 4. My movie happens between that time, but closer to the 4.
Yeah.
This is all stuff we'd kind of heard, but now we can confirm it that
Yes.
this is the story of the Death Star plans being stolen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this was known a while ago too.
This was known, but
Yeah.
But
But not-
speculated.
yeah,
for
speculated,
sure.
speculated. But now we know.
With the title Rogue One.
Yeah, and someone asked me on Twitter, I'm going to get the question up here. Abe Gonzalez, at Abe Sickers, says, do you think Gareth Edwards will include practical effects as J.J. Abrams? Yes.
I think so.
Gareth Edwards himself said, the key to this film, both in how to approach it and how to tell the story, is it's going to be realistic.
Yeah. Not only that
Yeah.
you have like the direction with Kathleen Kennedy, but even if you watch Godzilla, that was very much in real locations. You know, you have these huge monsters in there as well, but he sought out to make it feel as real as possible, and I think you're going to get that with this one as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So going, I am oddly more interested in hearing about these anthology movies and spoiling myself a little bit than I am the actual 7, 8, and 9.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Maybe because there's no stake in them, as I said before. What are your thoughts of Rogue One so far before you hear all this stuff?
I'm a little nervous personally just about Gareth Edwards. Just to my taste, I didn't like Godzilla at all. I felt like
I know. I understand the criticisms.
I didn't know if your face meant I disagree with you or if you were
I love
imitating the
Godzilla,
tone
but-
of the film, because I think the tone of the film is
Yes, it's very brooding.
that's not good for the podcast. It's very po-faced. It's very.
Yes.
I like realistic, as in the characters have stakes, like everything matters. But the general takeaway of Godzilla, and Gareth Edwards or the screenwriter said basically this of. It's about humans screwed up. They've disturbed the natural order, and this film is just what happens. And I don't like how fatalistic that is, because Star Wars is never fatalistic. So I'm happy if it's a war movie. I'm bummed out if it's just a war is hell, and that's the only note.
See, that's one thing Gareth Edwards said at the panel. Is if there was one word that we can describe this movie and that we pitched to Kathleen Kennedy, was that it was real.
Yeah.
So,
but it's real, but it ends with a new hope.
Yes,
exactly.
So that's what we got to hope.
So I just hope that there is a little bit of that. I don't need there to be jokes. I don't need there to be a wacky robot.
Yeah.
I just want the characters to have some of that sort of a vigor and youth and energy, and like, I'm going to do this. This can get better. A little bit of the, as long as we see why they're doing this, that this must happen, instead of like, there's no hope, so I guess all my friends just died, and I guess we'll try to get the plans, but I guess there's something else blew up. It's so horrible. I don't want that. And some of that is making me, some of the talk is making me a little afraid of that tone-wise.
I got you. I'm
understandable.
excited for this one. If it's going to be, now that it is this heist picture. I love saying it like that. It's not a heist movie. It's a heist picture.
It's a heist picture.
It's a heist picture.
even if it doesn't really exceed our expectations, and it's not the original movie or the trilogy, you know. So
I love the idea of trying to do something new, though. So even if I don't like it, great. Who cares?
Absolutely.
There'll be a lot more.
Yes,
So
there
Rogue
is.
One comes out December 2016, and no casting news yet,
Just
other than
Felicity.
Felicity Jones. So we're waiting on that. The Ben Mendelsohn thing was just an official rumor.
Yes.
A rumor. So that's that. So that is kind of the take on Celebration, Force Awakens, Rogue One. There's so much. We could do a 4-hour recap, just as long as it takes to get a lightsaber corn dog at a convention for Star Wars. There, I'm trying to. There aren't actually lightsaber corn dogs, and I'm trying to start that movement.
No, but a really bad idea. You want to eat a hot dog that will ignite in your throat.
It could be that long, too. That'd be a really
I do want to move on
This was your father's corn dog.
I do want to move on to Duel of the Fates. Last week, Joey and Joe posed a very Clone Warsy one. They asked, who do you want on your heist team, Cad Bane or Hondo the Pirate? So I'm going to read the results, but quickly, do you guys weigh in on that one? Cad Bane, the Bounty Hunter, or Hondo the Pirate from the Clone Wars? Who would you have on your heist team?
Cad Bane, for sure.
Cad Bane, because Hondo gets his voice. It's just,
Cat Dog.
It's a little bit, there's some voice.
Yeah, he gets kind of a little annoying at times.
Yeah,
just a couple.
Cad Bane's beautiful.
Yes.
I'd like to just hear him do commercials for chocolate all day. Cad Bane chocolate.
Well, it was a pretty resounding result here. The final totals that I tabulated this morning is Cad Bane 55, Hondo 7.
Yes.
I was expecting a negative number.
Pretty, yes. And even
negative
about
7.
3 of the votes for Hondo actually said, I want to say Cad Bane, but I feel bad. I'll say Hondo.
He's a good character. He just got a little overused.
I would go with Cad Bane as well. Cad Bane has become one of the new expanded universe characters, I should say, the new canon characters that I'm intrigued about and kind of love the most. I still want to know why Sabine draws Cad Bane.
Yes.
Please,
Yes.
hopefully
I
that
wanna know more
answers
about
that.
Sabine, period.
This week's Duel of the Fates that I have here, it's keeping with the Episode 7 Force Awakens kind of theme. We are asking you, it's a kind of a long-winded question, but and it's going to even have long-winded answers. Do you want Luke Skywalker to go to the dark side at any point in Episode 7 or leading up to Episode 7? That means he could start the movie bad, he could go bad, he could have been bad. Where do you want the story of Luke to go? Does he ever go to the dark side for you? Cobster?
I don't want to see him go to the dark side necessarily. I would like to see him messed up, because even in Return of the Jedi, he wanted to come back, head shaved and everything.
Yeah.
And kind of make him look like he's been through a lot. So I would like to see him like that, but not the dark side, because that almost negates everything that happened in the original trilogy, if he is indeed, or if he becomes bad.
I understand that.
Yeah. They've played with it in expanded universe stuff, and I wouldn't mind it if he makes a choice to dabble in the dark side.
Okay.
I certainly don't want him to have fallen, but one of the things I really love about Return of the Jedi, basically Yoda and Obi-Wan counsel Luke to kill his father,
Yes.
Right.
to defeat the Empire, and they have kind of given up their Jedi principles, because they're like, our whole society collapsed. It's got to be done. And Luke's like, no, I think there's a new way. I'm going to trust my friends. I'm truly going to do what you say, not what you do.
Right.
I'm not going to kill anyone. And he sort of defines a different, purer version of Jedi, of what it is to be a Jedi. So it would be cool to see that applied to Sith, if he kind of got back to that idea of like, anger, fear, these things are the path to the dark side.
Right.
They aren't the dark side. But maybe
great.
I have enough control that I can tap into it a little bit, because it's really, really important.
See, you are a pontificator.
I pontificated.
This is the first time I've heard that word now. I'm going to use that. Yes.
I come down on them between on this one. I love the gray area, and I see some people. Commander Grimm is saying I'm cool with gray and balance. I'm a big fan of Saga of Ice and Fire and Game of Thrones, because of the gray areas that George R. R. Martin dabbles in, because that's life, the universe and everything. So I can understand that Luke would go into the gray. I do not want to see him ever go full dark side, because it's the one character who I just want to keep him good.
Yes.
I understand there's gray, and I think that's an excellent point of, that leads to the dark side. Doesn't mean it is the dark side. I can go there, and he did that a little bit to kill his own father, to save him, to bring balance to the Force, possibly like that. So, but I would, if this movie starts and Luke's the bad guy, and there's been some talk and speculation of the last 2 years that could be the case, and I'd be... Am I going to be disappointed that I'm not going to, and I won't see the movie 10 times on Monday when it first comes out? No. But part of me just wants to keep Luke.
Yeah, I mean, if we walked in and Luke is full-on yellow eyes evil, I will have emotional difficulties for a few weeks trying to figure out a way in which I can be okay with that.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what we say here on the panel. As always, we will put it to you on Facebook. Go to our Facebook page, Jedi Alliance, and you can join the conversation there and put your answer. Also, we're going to start asking it on Twitter as well. I don't know why I've never done that before. Probably because I'm lazy when I get home from here. I just want to have a dessert and put my nap up and watch my feet up and take a nap and watch Monday Night Raw. So, but we're going to put that up there and ask you, what do you feel? Do you want Luke Skywalker to go to the dark side at any point in Episode 7 or leading up to Episode 7? Gentlemen, this has been a very fun conversation. It's great to be back in the pilot seat here on Jedi Alliance. We've got some great shows planned. Next week, I'm going to be joined by Jennifer Landa, Miri Jedikin, and Megan Finley coming back in for a big panel discussion on some things there. I've got a very special Duel of Fates for them. It's we're going to take a look at some military strategy debates in the Star Wars universe. And then after that is May 4th. We have the big live show here May 4th. I've already talked to Phil from Popcorn Talk, and we are pushing this to just about a 2-hour show live Sunday on May 4th. And I've got guests coming back in. You're going to come back join us, right? Joseph Scrimshaw is going to be here. Mark Ellis is going to be here. Nice. Joe Ruggiero is coming back. Jennifer Land is going to be here on May 4th as well, bringing in some Hoth cupcakes. And because I ran into him up in Las Vegas at Cauliflower Alley Club, pro wrestling superstar Frankie Kazarian will be back here in studio May 4th. And there's still room on the couch for more. Who knows? Maybe the editor of Wookiee Erotica will be in as well.
Please.
So that's what's coming up for that one. It's going to be a big show on May the 4th. Copster, plug yourself. Where can they find you?
You guys can find me on Twitter at Copster15, and then also you can check out my podcast, HorrorFlix, on iTunes. It's about horror movies. So yeah.
It's doing great. You and Cody Hall do a great job behind the scenes at Schmoes. I'm so glad you guys get your faces and mugs out there.
It was nice.
The show is doing very good. It's highly rated in iTunes TV and film, and keep doing that there.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Scrimshaw, as I always say, Scrimshaw!
You can find me at Joseph Scrimshaw on Twitter. My website is josephscrimshaw.com. I have a podcast called Obsessed, where people come on and talk about things that they like, maybe a little bit too much. And next weekend, I'll be at Wizard World in Las Vegas doing some comedy stuff.
I really wanted to get back out. I just can't go to another convention.
We need a break, especially.
I was going to try to do some moderation out there, some panel moderation. I couldn't get out there with our good friend Brittany Wallach is behind the scenes at Wizard World. So have fun there. I'm sure it's going to be a great one.
I will have fun for you. I promise.
Thank you. If you can, get some money back from the Wheel of Fortune slots.
I will look for your mighty mug.
So don't forget to promote. Don't forget to. I'm promoting. That's what you're going to do. Don't forget to watch all of YouTube's Popcorn Talk channel, YouTube.com/Popcorn Talk Network. You got profiles. Guilty Movie Pleasures, Box Office Breakdown, Meet the Movie Press, Marvel Movie News, DC Movie News. A lot more shows coming out there in the Popcorn Talk. Tune into that channel and find out there. Don't forget the Schmoes Know Movie Show live every Thursday, 6 p.m. PST on Schmoes Know's YouTube channel, broadcasting from this very studio. Follow us at Jedi_Alliance, at the Popcorn Talk, at Schmoes Know to get some movie news. Me at Ken Napzok. Thanks again for giving me this audience. It is humbling to know that you guys enjoy talking and celebrating and Star Wars as much as this little nerd does too. So thank you for listening to Jedi Alliance on the Popcorn Talk Network. We talk movies, and many Bothans died to bring you this information.
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network. The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Popcorn Talk Network or its owners or principals.